what is the job market in UK? So basically, where you are right now for Power BI users. So if you are really good in Power BI, or maybe you have complementary skills like SQL or any other skills that you have, what do you think is the job market right now with the upcoming age of, as we say, this is AI?
Find your niche. I want people to understand what I mean by find your niche. I am business intelligence and data visualization. I'm not a data scientist. I don't use bubble chart because I think they are data scientists.
You're working on the client's project, so sometimes the client's project can be from different domain. So how is it easier for you or tough for transitioning from one domain to other? For example, you are really good in FMCG space, and then tomorrow there is a client, they are in, let's say, manufacturing, or let's say mining, or some real estate. So for example, you don't have experience in those domains, and then you have to work on the development of dashboards. So what is your approach? How do you gain knowledge on that domain? Hello, listeners and viewers. Welcome back to the new episode of Analytics Unplugged, where we talk with data experts. In this episode, we will talk about how you can improve the visuals in Power BI. Basically, whenever you're working on data and you want to create visuals, it is very important to understand what kind of visuals you have to use for which particular analysis, right? So we will talk about everything. And for this, we will talk with Mr. Federico. Federico is based out of England. He is currently a tech lead with Hiberus. And you must have seen him on FP20 challenges, where he does various data challenges on Power BI, where students or professionals, they have to create like Power BI dashboards, and whoever has the best dashboard wins the prize. So this is how he has been working on. So welcome, Fed, to the show.
Oh, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you and with your audience.
Amazing. So, Fed, I was watching, like viewing your LinkedIn profile as well. You have been working in Power BI industry since long, and you have been working on like creating reports and understanding the business, what kind of requirements are there from the clients, and so and so forth. So, first of all, let's talk about your journey, how you came into data profession, right? So, I think you started from somewhere else. So, how tough it is to be in data profession, and if you come in data, like what are the challenges and how you cope up with it? Like tell us about your journey.
Thank you. I have a very interesting way of coming into the pure data analysis business. I worked for more than 17 years in a airline as a data analyst or fraud travel document analyst, but it was very, very rudimentary. It wasn't modern. It wasn't with the tool we have nowadays. COVID-19 came into place and everything shut down, as you remember. So the airline told me, Federico, there is no flight. I have always worked as a consultant. I don't like to be an employee of a company. I want to be a consultant with. It gives me more freedom. So they said, Federico, we're going to have to stop your contract. When we are back, we will call you back. No problem. You have been with us for 17 years. But I didn't like that at that time. That was quite things were becoming very bad. They did that to me. My wife working for the same company, the salary also was cut down. So we kind of struggled like every other family around the world in that situation. So sitting down home, I said, what I do, Federico, what do? You need to do something else. Checking on the laptop, my son lent me a laptop. So I start looking, start seeing about data science and Power BI, Tableau, Excel. So I got quite interesting on the business intelligence side of analytics.
Right.
And I started doing some courses in Udemy. And then I came across Maven Analytics. Maven Analytics is an American learning platform, quite popular in LinkedIn. But I didn't have money. I have very little money. So if I put together $30 or $50, it was for a month of the academy. Okay.
Yeah.
So I used to join the academy and then leave for after the month. And they come back to me and say, Federico, why you stop anything we did wrong? I said, no, I cannot afford it. And they said, Federico, no problem. And they opened the academy for me free of charges. So I started doing Excel, Tableau, Power BI, and competing in challenges that we will talk about later, because challenges play a very important part in my journey.
Right.
So Tableau, Power BI, and I study politics and sociology in the university. I know a numbers person, if you know what I mean by that. I don't have a data engineering or an engineering degree, or totally the opposite.
Right.
So, okay, Federico, you're here. You are at that time 54. You need to find a niche, what you like to do within the industry. Because the industry of Power BI or the analysis world is massive. Okay, if you look at Power BI, you got people that really go at that, data analysis, especially there are good people who do excellent modeling. There are a lot of people that really good at this, that, and the other, but you cannot do everything. It becomes a problem if you try to do. If you are good at that, you are not good at design. I can tell you there are very, very quite few people that go at everything. And everything that what I like was the designing, the visualization aspect of Power BI. And that's what I found more interesting. I started participating in challenges. Mapping Analytics has challenges. Onyx Data has challenges. Any challenge, I participate in challenges in Iran.
Okay.
That was me looking for challenges all
Right.
over the places. And that actually helped me to practice what I learned. So if I learn that, I'm going to put in practice here. You might not see in my report because it's behind, but it's there. I share with the community and I create a portfolio. Sharing with the community make me popular within the LinkedIn drive, as I call it. And they saw my journey from a very, very ugly pool report with terrible colors to actually winning quite a few challenges and the important of the big ones. And I become popular for that. So I am Mr. Challenges, or the king of
Yeah,
challenges. At some point
that's
they call
amazing.
me. And that also helped me to, for people, companies, businesses, start calling and talking to me. So I don't know, you know, Lumel. Lumel is
Yeah.
a, yeah, you go in for rivers. I work for them.
Oh,
Okay.
amazing.
And Bas Hoffman is this guy from Germany with a beard that he does very fantastic visualization. I work for him for a month. Enterprise DNA, that is in New Zealand.
Yes.
I work for them.
Yeah.
Um, and then I did a couple of jobs here and there. Um, Came to Hiberus. Hiberus is one of the big four or big three company in Spain, having very important clients.
Hmm.
Clients that I now dealing with and working with. Uh, and then you start understanding what is behind. Okay,
Yeah.
you start everything you listen. Guys who are listening or will listen, everything that we say or somebody say in LinkedIn about poor data quality, you are going to spend 80% of your time cleaning data is true. Okay, when some
Yeah.
company tell you the data is clean and proper, you say, I don't believe you. There is no company, no
Yeah.
single company that the data is clean and properly organized. So quality and integrity is always a problem, and you have to deal with that. On the
Right.
one side, you cannot tell your client, sorry, the data is shit. Apologies for the language. Uh, we need to start from zero. And you have to go along. And there is another important point that they lack in understanding. A lot of people confuse. One thing is information. If you send to me a report in Excel, you're selling me information. Yeah, you got the pivot table, you got everything organized, a report. But I don't want that. I want the data behind. How did you make the report? Oh yeah, we
Right.
have a master sheet behind that. That is the one that's the data I want. Because that information you're giving me is more difficult to work than you give me the master sheet. Okay,
Right.
and that is a confusion. Believe me, I think people need to start making that understanding sometime, because one thing is data, another thing is information. And information is anything that have an structure. It's already in a pivot table. You got visual, you got everything. And what you want is the back. I want the data at the back that I can load in Power BI. I can create my study schema. I can mold it.
Yeah.
Yes, as we like.
So when you talked about data challenges, right? So there are so many students or mid-career professionals who love working on challenges because they don't have real life projects. So they try to work on the data set provided in the challenges. For example, Maven challenges or FP20 or any XYZ challenges,
Mhm.
right? So they try to create a dashboard and they publish it, and then many people view their dashboards. They try to understand what are the mistakes they can improvise on that. So that is step number one. So going from beginner to maybe to some level where you are able to understand how Power BI works and you can create some dashboards. But does that paralyze with what actually is done in the scenario? Like, of course, it helped you. because you come from non-data background, so it really helped you to get a platform where you can express yourself, and because of that you landed various good opportunities, and now you're doing really good in Power BI community. So what do you think was differentiating between you versus so many people out there who are still doing challenges and still not able to grab good opportunities in the market?
I think a lot of people is afraid of this chain. I'm gonna get into this. And look, I am 35. Well, I started at 54, and I'm 57 now, and I
Yeah,
probably challenge anyone on report design. And I'm not afraid.
yeah,
Actually, I feel quite good that I'm telling the young boys, I'm gonna beat you up. Okay,
amazing.
so that is something that you have to have in your mind, is that I can do it. And
Yeah,
um, in my journey, it has been 4.5 years, 4 years, but I have been quite full time. So I was doing the time of COVID, I was doing 8 to 10 hours a day of Power BI. You learn a lot. You might not learn everything on a report, but you know the theory. You know what Power BI wants. You know that the data, as I told you, you want clean data, that you have to clean it, that you want to create and start schema, that you want to create row level security even before the report started, because it will help with the performance. You start to learn how the engines, okay, in Power BI work. You start understanding better the concept of DAG. Now you go raw content, filter content. That is a nightmare. It's a nightmare even for me now. But you understand that you have a solid background, okay,
yeah,
or how it works. Then come the work, and it's totally a different matter. Now that is the real truth. That is the real challenge. But they get your employment is because they believe in you, and you are surrounded them by people that do the job, the same job that you, that might have more experience. These people are going to help you. Nobody's going to be there to actually annoy you or to tell anyone, look how bad he is. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Actually,
yeah,
another thing that for participants, it's better to be the I don't know anything boy in a meeting than I know everything.
right.
Okay? If you don't know anything, you can ask questions, and you can ask this question as many times as you want to understand, and they are gonna respect that you are the new boy,
True.
and they are gonna give you the information you want. And you might know a little bit about, but you're gathering more information. So play the silly boy. It plays quite
Amazing.
well. Yeah.
All right, so that's great. The journey has been really nice. When we talk about Power BI, so what are the challenges that you face right now? According to you, what are the important things, or maybe the things which are really complex? It's not easy to grasp. For example, you get a data set and you inject the data inside the Power BI and you start building the report. But then, what do you think are the basic blocks that you should consider while developing your dashboard? For example, you get a data set. What should be the steps that the person should follow to create the journey of creating a dashboard from basic data? So that is important.
That is very interesting, because I started doing my flow, my working flow in my report. And what I mean, because in my challenges, when I play challenges, even it was a challenge, I loaded the data properly, I clean it properly, I name it properly, I name all the table properly, I make sure all the data was with the right data types. And I prepare my folders in Power Query. I make everything by order to ensure that the Power Query transformation we're doing properly. I was thinking about, okay, if I'm gathering data from an SQL database, I need to try to avoid query folding, something that happened in Power Query, Power BI, Power Query, and SQL. So I need to think about all that thing before I start actually going to Power BI and start creating the report. I need to think about my data model. Do I have everything I have about my study schema? Maybe I have to deviate, and this
Right.
study schema become a snowflake schema now. Uh, so all that is my flow. So, and I follow that flow in every single project I do. Something that I learned very important is that if data is coming from a database, whatever is SQL or Snowflake, and you are not normally going to have access to that. I don't know many people that really the client tell you, yeah, that's my database, do whatever you want to. No, that's the database. You can just break it.
Yeah.
Okay. Most probably they're going to tell you, this is our SQL guy. Okay. Talk to him. Okay. And now IT have their own, they live in their own world, as I call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The IT people. Yeah. IT guys.
Yeah.
So you need to learn how to work with them. It's very important that, when you're asking them to create a table, that they don't have that table under the table, or that table is, I know what it is. Sometimes they have to build it for you. Yeah, and you might tell them, yeah, that table, I just want this and that, but maybe they have to do three, four different joins from different tables that they
True.
don't know where they are in the database. So you need to understand that their process also takes time. Your job is to work with them, to help them, and be patient.
Right.
Be,
So
okay,
that's interesting that you said when you have to connect and you have to get a data from the client. So you have to connect with IT team and they will assist you with the SQL queries and all. So as you said, data can come from multiple databases inside, and they have to join the queries so that you can get the final outcome. So it might be challenging. Then you have to be patient. So one is that, and second is, in general, when you have the data, what is the recommended way to modify? For example, you have to add few columns in a table. For example, a simple, like there is a price column, there is a quantity column, and you have to have a revenue column. Let's say you don't want to create a DAX for it. So what is best? Is it to create in SQL itself, or would you like to create in Power Query, or how do you would like to go ahead with that?
everybody talk about Power Query as a wonderful tool, and it's a
Yeah.
wonderful tool. When I'm doing big jobs, I my job is to make sure I don't do anything in Power Query. So
All
that
right.
means that everything is done at the back, is done at the database level. If you look at Power BI, best practice it tells you, hey, all transformation at the back. Don't do
Yeah.
the transformation or try to avoid a transformation in Power Query. And if you do, remember that now you need to think about in what order you are going to do this transformation to avoid query folding. Okay. Um, so I prefer everything to be done at the back. And at the same time, there is a constant talking between me and the IT guys because they try to do that. They try to do aggregation and summarization. Say, no, 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 no. I don't want you to give me a percentage. I will do the percentage. I don't want you to do that. I just want the column in there. And I will do that because they tend to do that because they are used to do that. They're used to create report in SQL and everything. So I prefer to do, if I am in Power Query and I have quantity cost, for example, or quantity cost and sale, I will try to do a calculation in Power Query if I don't have any other option before I loading it to um, Power BI. But sometimes it depends how the data comes. Sometimes you have to do quite a lot of transformation, and you say, okay, if I carry on doing transformation, all the
Right.
transformation are going down to the engines. Sometimes you may say, I'm going to do some DAX for that. I worry more about how the data model is it behind
All
this
right.
star schema that we're talking about, because if you have a proper data modeling,
Right.
the DAX become easier. You have to do not less DAX, but it becomes less complicated.
Right. But in general, what I've seen is if you create a column inside Power BI, in a table in Power BI, and then you open your Power Query, so you won't be able to see that column and you won't be able to make changes, alter on that. Vice versa, if you do create a column inside Power Query and then you load it in the Power BI, you will be able to see that column. So I think when we create in Power Query, it will be easier for us working on Power BI. But then, as you said, it will become complicated on that stuff.
The only time you lose view of the columns, Power BI has three views: got the canvas, the working area, with the table area, and the modeling area. And the only time you lose sight of the table or the data area is when you load data as a direct query.
Right.
There are two ways of importing data: is direct query or import. Import is you
Hmm.
load the data into your laptop. Direct query, you are talking constantly with the data
Yeah.
database. So that's the only time you lose view, okay, on the in Power BI, on the front of Power BI of the data, right? The tables and the column. You have the Canva, you have the modeling, but you cannot see the middle option with the table. That is annoying for me because I am a visualization guy. I need to see it. Sometimes I need to visit the table
Right.
for me to work. But to your question, I will do everything I can as back as possible, and the closer will be Power Query.
All right. Perfect.
Okay, and then
Also,
whatever. I try to avoid calculate the column, but
yeah.
not necessarily you need to avoid it all the time. There is quite a lot of people is scared about that. If your data set is 100,000 rows, you can have a couple of calculated column, nothing is going to happen. There is no suffering at all. So
Yeah.
don't get afraid. Now, if you're going to do everything as a calculated column then, and your report is big, you have million of rows, yes, it's going to become slow and everything. So it's a
Yeah.
matter of sometimes you don't have any other option but to use a calculated column.
That's true. And
So
secondly, if you have seen, like when you're working on Power BI and you create a particular measure of, let's say, again, revenue, and when you add that measure inside a table, sometimes the total doesn't match with the fields of the top rows. So this is, I think, a problem from Power BI itself, from Microsoft. They are not able to make the changes on that. So do you,
I don't think that they I know the problem. You need to understand filter content and raw content for that, because that last total column is not calculating actually that sum of. It's
yeah,
calculating the sum the of these columns, not the column, but the column. Um, we
because
have
that's
a yes, please carry on.
yeah, so that's the question that is always there on Power BI community. Many people, they request that change this, and still there is no like solution for there. Like, do you face any other problem in Power BI, like any challenge that you feel that it can be improved in this or that way?
It never has been a problem for me, because
Okay.
in the sense that I know what is happening, and it doesn't actually mess up that many times. Sometimes it's the zoom off. You are making a zoom with a measure, normally give you the correct
Mm-hmm.
information. Anyway, you know that happened, and if that happened, there are ways to avoid that problem. Okay, and
Yeah.
I think you have a very strong complainer in Greg Deckler, a really good colleague that he posts every day, like 7,000 a day without the totals being
Okay.
right in Power BI. So we know that. I don't know if you knew, but I was part of Microsoft, the people doing the new visual or improving the new visuals in
Okay.
Power BI. So we listen about what is going on. And one of the questions is that we cannot give you a sum of everything, because you got a percentage in a column where you want a sum of the percentages. You may prefer an average
Mm.
and equally to the other column. And that is the argument. I'm not very convinced by one argument or the other. I know it happened.
Yeah.
And the true 100% behind, I don't know, but I listen to both sides, the Microsoft side and to the opposite side, from people that I know and I respect quite a lot. And I don't think they're lying to me. They have different point of view. You know it happened. You know, you need to know how to solve it.
Yeah, that's true.
And to solve it is not that difficult. It's a little extra step in your DAX.
Yeah.
And that's it.
All right, so that's fine. So there is one section that I would like to talk about. So one is when we talk about working on projects. So like some of the audience, they are students, so they would like to know more about like how the clients discuss about the problem, like how they come up to you that this is the problem and this is the data. I need this kind of solution or objective is there. So what are the problems and what are the things that you work using Power BI for the clients? So if you can explain some snippets from your experiences working with so many clients.
When,
So
when,
yeah.
when a when a project arrives, you are part of a team, and you have a project manager, you have SQL people, because they have to load the data from the client database into a data mart or a warehouse to locally. So you're part of a team, and you have a purpose. You need to make sure your report, Power BI, is perfect, and you have to interact with these people. Data integrity and quality is still being a very, very serious issue in all companies. Okay,
Mhm.
so it's something important that what you're going to find in the data quality when you open whatever you can see, because sometimes you ask for, can I have a portion in Excel or a CSV file to see the data? And when you see the data, then you feel like I'm going to start running away. I'm not liking it at all. But then when the process starts, you remember data is not, if you work for yourself and you have a direct client, yeah, the client might give you an Excel file and you can work it out and you will check the data, model it yourself, try to do your best. But you work for a big company or a semi company or a company, there are quite a lot of actors involved. Before I go, the sell people is selling Hiberus too, whoever it is.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. And when that get there, you get a project manager, you get a service manager, you have a few people that is part of the team based on what the project it is about it. Okay,
Mhm.
and you get informed, Federico, you are in this team. Okay, you might wait for a month before you do anything, but you are listening to everything happening. You see everything is happening, and in time to time, you tell them, "Remember, I won," and start schema up to the point that I start laughing. So you know that they know already what you want.
Yeah.
So you have to start getting there. You have to get in there to make sure that, hey, I got my data clean. I got the name of the column proper, the header, and if we go deeply, don't summarize it. I prefer to have two columns with the cost and the side so I can get the benefit by resting them. Yeah, I prefer to do that myself before you bring it to me done. So it is a process. There is no one way of working. There are multiple ways. If you are a consultant, a freelancer, you might just work directly with the client. I might send you some information on Excel or CSV
Yeah.
file. Sometimes we don't even work with the real data until later in the project. They provide you some excerpt of the data via or SQL or via Excel file, and you start working on that. I'm working recently in a big project. I was working with data, preparing a template, yes, for presentation, and the data was so poor that I don't know how even I did a template, but the template actually worked very well. But then when you look, and you say that look good because it's done by somebody who knows what to do when you look at something, because the data was a mess. There was
Yeah.
nothing of those numbers. Don't ask me for the number because you are selling the report. You are selling that the report look good, and they understand that when they have the data, those numbers will be okay, and
Yeah.
everything will be fantastic. So there is no a single way. It's a difficult question to answer. Just say this is what I do all the time. Sometimes I call out the blue, a manager for another department, for another project. Federico, do you have a couple of hours? See, can you make up? I call it makeup. Can you make up the report? I put makeup on the report. That is very ugly, and I just dress it nicely and everything. They send something very ugly to you, and you just dress it up, make it a little bit nicer and tidy, blah blah blah. Have a
Yeah.
look at the data model and the data, and you say, guys, the first thing you need to do is that data is horrible.
Yeah.
Okay, you cannot call a table HTTW325 because I don't know where that table is about it. Okay, so
Yeah.
that is a calendar table. Call it calendar or day table. Okay, so you pass. So I put
So,
quite a lot of things.
so what is the naming convention that you follow? What do you think is the right way?
You're gonna see the camel case for the guys
All
in
right.
SQL quite often. They all no capital with the underscore. You can see that I personally, and I'm talking when I am in Power BI, I like, for example, revenue is revenue. The initial is capital and then it's revenue. It has two words, like what name of month is month name, two words, first initial in capital, separation, there is a space, and month. That is the way, and probably you see some report, my back end, some report, you will see that I follow all the same time um,
Yeah.
headers. If I download it from, and I think IT don't like that, but I do. When I download the table from SQL, it's in my domain. It's not in PowerPoint, in Power BI. Sorry, if they bring me the table with their headers, I normally change it. If that table is product, I call it product. Simple as that.
That's true.
They got the prefix from the table. They got the product. So the name is this long. Okay, we allow underscore or camel case headers, and I just finish putting product,
Yeah.
calendar, sales, orders, uh, geography or location. I try to, because I want to people to understand that the report I'm creating is not for me. That I understand how I use my header or what type of I'm using. That report is going to someone that you don't know how much he knows
True
about
that.
IT or data analysis. So my idea is that this guy open the report and see sales, profit, cost, name of month name, so he can read what it is there very simply and very easy.
So
Otherwise, it's a
yeah,
complication.
in a nutshell, it should be clear to the stakeholders because they might not be technically sound. So whatever you are presenting, it should itself express to the stakeholder.
Up to the point that
Yeah.
if it is possible, you actually bring that to the attention of the project manager in the project and tell them, listen, I need to get to this guy. I need headers, name. How do they call this? How do they call that? Do they prefer this? Do they prefer that? So all that is part of the process of gathering information from the client, visuals, color
Definitely.
palette, and everything.
Yeah. Also, I have heard a lot about your visualizations. So, is it possible if we can discuss about the demo, like if you can do that
Yeah.
on visualization on Power BI?
Yes, I go a small, it's a small demo, and we try to create together a table. I want people to think about a normal matrix in Power BI and how this one ended. Let me see what I
Yeah.
can here in present, is it?
Yeah, you
Share
can
screen.
share that.
Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes.
So there is a file that I work sometimes just to do when I am a little bit bored. I want a new idea. So that started in January 2024, and I produced. This is a normal matrix. As you can see, it is a normal visual from Power BI. It's no paid visual. There is no nothing. There is no SVG. There is nothing. That is just totally Power BI. Okay, you got some filter on the top, and you can see that it moves fantastically.
This is quite interesting. We have filters, then we have a metrics table where we have countries, and then we have first one is what AC. It is
Actually,
actual.
it would be revenue. Just to make a little
Uh,
bit shorter and kind of
yeah,
finance actuals. CG is for me to remember because this one and this one that is the same. These two columns are the same. The only one is bar, but I need to change the name of one of the measure I'm using. If not Power BI understand that is the same measure, and we'll also put the bars in there and the values in here. So I had to make a different, the same measure, but name them differently. So that is actually that is different of previous year. So I got my previous year, take it off from this one, and that is the difference. That's the percentage. That is a span line. And that is you have plan difference, plan percentages, and another span line. The data set is quite finance oriented. And I think there is in the data set there is also forecasting and things like that. But remember, the is as you want to call it, for you to understand is revenue, bar revenue, different between revenue this year and revenue last year. That is the difference again of last year. No, that is the percentage difference of something like that. I cannot remember anymore. That is actual minus
previous year. Yeah,
previous year, and then a little bit of conditional for monthly. If you look at in the difference, you can see negative value.
right.
If you see negative value, you can do that very, very simply. Yeah, and it look quite good. But if you don't have negative values, that will be another column with no interest whatsoever. Just a column. Okay. So that was the first one. Then I actually created this one. That is the same table. And that is the one we are going to try to reproduce if we have time later on in about 10, 15 minutes. And then with the same data, that is a line chart that I, with the use of some trickery and the error bar, I made a lollipop chart.
This looks interesting. Actually, you
Yeah,
created using line chart makes a lot more sense,
yeah,
and it's
yes.
interesting.
You look at this, the little circle. They are the markers in a line chart.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's the markers. So we get rid of the line. You look at the line is 0.
true.
Okay, so now I open up the markers, and I have because there are two
Two
measures. You
dips.
go AC and AC different, so the negative and the positive, and you put it there. And you got the marker green and the marker in red. You need a line just to make the difference. And that is this measure 0. 0 is set at the 0 value, and the
Right.
measure is called 0 and it's 0. 0 equals 0.
Zero.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, so you need that line to make a little bit different. And then with the error bar, this is an error bar. Okay,
Yeah.
that come from the top, from the measure, the value of the measure to the zero line. That help with this error bar. You see, 0 is there, and that is one of the measure. I think that is the negative, the red, and that is the 0 bar. And then you start playing with the colors and the width and everything until you make it look like that. But it's no more than a line chart. You need to use a little bit of imagination and say, okay, that is a line chart. What I can do with a line chart, because we have these markers in here.
Yeah.
But you can go here. I say, well, I don't want this. I want positive. I want this to be that. And now it's an arrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can go to the negative. I say, okay, now I want this to be an arrow. And it doesn't work because the arrow is the other way around. So
Yeah.
then you have to come by and say, okay, that doesn't work this way. Remember, arrows indicate positive or negative, so you have to be careful when you use it. So that's the reason the lollipop, that is the best working,
Yeah.
the circle. But that's what
So
it
do we
is.
use mostly DAX in it?
The DAX is very simple, as you can see. Apart from to create the error bar that you might look, oh, that complicated, it's just a zero, and I'm not kidding, it's zero is zero.
Yeah, yes, true that.
Look at how simple it is. If the difference between actual and previous year is greater than zero, give me the previous year. That is the DAX. There is no complication. And the same, that for that produce these two, the top and the bottom values. And then for conditional formatting, I don't have to do any conditional formatting apart from give them color because they are already separated. Okay, I remember I got the positive and the negative and the positive. So I can go then to the colors and just give them the color I want to with no problem at all. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to do any special conditional formatting or nothing because I am providing the positive and the negative already. Zero is zero, as you can see there. And then let me see this one. Again, we are looking quite at the same measures. It's all very, that is not, sorry, I haven't cleared. Now, if you look at the measures, they are quite different. That switch because I got this there, calculated this to year, one of those, actual. And why I have to do this is because if you look at my, you can see this column, you have the three scenarios. You got revenue, forecast, and plan. So if I zoom all that, I will be making the zoom of all of them. Okay, but I only want the zoom of the revenue, the zoom of the forecast, or the zoom. So exactly, I had to, and that together with a parameter that's in there, field parameter, this one, I had to use that switch and everything. And there is something quite new on me that I try not to look for complication. The easier it can be a report, the better it works, and the better can be looked after by the client. But not there is a division between previous year and this year. But that is allowed because that is allowed because the data model is quite good actually. So okay, apart from that, I don't use many and it's one to many. Everything is one to many. There is no problem with the relationship. They're coming how it had to come. If the data model is good, as simple and clean, everything is easy to do.
True. So I think many people, what they do as a mistake is they go for visualization because that's something which shows up. So they focus more on visualization. Actually, the most important part is to work on data modeling, cleaning the data, and actually building a foundation. Once that is done, visualization will be very straightforward. So yeah, actually it's all about working on your internally, like data, what you have, how you can use that, how the data should flow from one table to another, and then what kind of maybe DAX we can use, and finally visualization will occur.
Yeah, whatever way I think it's important to also look for your niche. There are people who are better at DAX and data modeling, that are visualization, or no, let's make a difference between visualization is using the right visuals for your report, okay? And report designing is making up or giving some nice looking feeling, okay?
Yeah, that's what you're saying, the difference between dashboard and a report.
Well, a dashboard is static. Dashboard doesn't have, it's not dynamic. If you from the Power BI point, you go to a dashboard in Power BI, it's static. There is no movement. There is no filter. It's just this plant in a dashboard. This is a report because it's dynamic.
So when we go to Power BI services, so once the report is published over there, or once we create this page, from there we have a provision that we can drag and drop the visuals to particular dashboard. So that's a static. Once you dragged and dropped, you can't filter it again. That's the single source, and like it can come from multiple sources, but it will be static.
Correct. That again, you publish your report in Power BI service. Service is the way for you to actually share the report with the team, with your client, with whoever you want to, with internal team. And there you have this report that you normally share in an application and remain dynamic. And there is another thing called dashboard where you can actually drag tiles from different reports. Not only from this one, I can have different reports and still these tiles. I can get this one from this report. I can get, I don't know, this one from this report. I can get this one from the report. So you can have different report and create a dashboard that gives you a view of everything, but that remains static. Okay, there are a couple of things that have some dynamism in it, but normally it's static. There is no movement. They
All right.
are high level report. They are the KPIs of the company. They are not. They don't need to be moved. They don't need to be dynamic. Okay, that's how much money we want this year to do, and they are gonna check. And this KPI will only be reviewed if we achieve target before time. So okay, we need to increase that because we already achieved it. If not, they will remain static for the full year. Okay, so the way I see it, or I understand it, is that a dashboard is more high level reporting where you don't need any dynamism, you don't need to filter anything. And a report is what data analysts, senior management, middle management use to see the day-to-day work. Because my CEO want to see how much money I make this month. And you tell
That's true.
him 3 million. Okay, thank you, I don't need more. Because he knows that the more is for your other senior manager, the other manager, and you. Okay?
Yeah.
So you're not there, you only need number and probably percentages more than number. Okay, and this guy will pass the information why we are not selling. We have a decrease of 3% this quarter, and that is passed from the sales to the senior manager to every team, and then the managers, everybody looking at the report, see what happened, and for that, in my personal view, they need a more dynamic report.
Yeah. So, coming to the last section, I just wanted to understand what is the job market in UK. So, basically, where you are right now for Power BI users. So, if you are really good in Power BI, or maybe you have complementary skills like SQL or any other skill set you have, what do you think is the job market right now with the upcoming age of, as we say, this is AI? So,
Mhm.
many things are already automated. For example, if you are not able to understand DAX, you can just type in ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will give you DAX queries. So you don't have to learn a lot of coding. Plus, we have Copilot in Microsoft Fabric itself. So the ease that we have, it's getting easier for business users as well to use Power BI. So it's not technical anymore. It's not very technical, as we say. So what do you think is the job market for Power BI, especially from technical perspective?
I will actually not be worried too much about ChatGPT. I use it every day. Or Fabric, for you to have Fabric and Copilot, one of the big licenses that cost you 4, 6, 7,000 a month or something like that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Still is a artificial intelligence. Do you trust it? In the same way, when I put something ChatGPT and he come back with a DAX, do you think I just take it and put it there? No, I gotta verify that, and not all the time give me the right information. So it helped, but it's not going to take my job away or your job away or anyone's job away. It helps. Thank you. I think a good example is the name that Microsoft gave to artificial intelligence is called Copilot. And the Copilot is the person helping the driver, the pilot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
So
the way you
actually,
have to see it.
no, that's true. Actually, it helps, really helps. Even if you are in like any like field, you are in data science, analytics, or marketing, or supply chain, everyone gets something from ChatGPT. That's fine. But going forward, many people say, I have read so many articles. Maybe in if you require 20 people, they will hire 10 people because they
Yeah.
already have the assistance of ChatGPT.
But
So maybe there are jobs, but maybe it will be reduced. So no one knows about it.
That is nothing new. If we look back in history, we were transporting things in donkeys, and they came the industrial revolution, and now we start moving them in trucks and trains. And of course, the people who had donkey lost the job. Yeah, look at all the time in history, and we'll see that is nothing new. It's going to happen. But if for you to know that it's going to happen, because we have history behind telling us it's going to happen, and to adapt.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so I will not be worried about it. I will make myself better, and so I don't have to actually lose my job. Sometimes, unfortunately, that is going to happen. That is going to happen. So I'm not going to hide away from it. I'm not going to fight it. I think artificial intelligence help, but I'm not. Neither I'm worried about it. I don't think. How you think the picture you have these Fuse or the other guy, I can't remember the name, that create pictures, yeah, and images. And they are quite good, but you need to know what prompt you have to use and quite a lot of stuff to actually get a proper image. If you go to ChatGPT and you say, please give me an image of a dashboard, you will see the most ridiculous and silly thing you have ever seen.
yeah,
Try it, please. And I think, they are excellent people who have learned how to work with the prompt and refine the prompt and super refine the prompt again, and then
yeah,
come out with fantastic images. But not everybody, that is a specialty. This guy can say, hey, I specialize in prompting. And I think prompting, I just made it up,
yeah.
for artificial intelligence, it's something that a lot of people might interpret. Because you can get to that picture that I can, you got advantage of it.
Right. So going forward, what do you think is the future of Power BI? I mean, if you are already working on Power BI, what do you think is important to upscale yourself in particular field, or what exactly do you think can help someone who is already in Power BI field?
One, and I, at the moment, the market is growing, job opportunities, there are plenty. We need to think about geographical location. In the UK, sorry, the market is growing. In Spain, the market is growing. The company I'm working for have grown like 40% from last year. So that's a double of people and double of money in a year. Um, on different niches on technology, not only in Power BI. Um, find your niche. I want people to understand what I mean by find your niche. I am business intelligence and data visualization. I'm not a data scientist. I don't use bubble chart because I think they are data science. I don't use waterfall chart because I think they are finance charts. So when you are able to find your niche, what you are good at, okay, try to get better and better and better at it.
Yeah.
And that when people start getting noticed, and I think in my company, people know that don't go to Federico with a complex task because it's not going to solve it. It's going to ask ChatGPT like you do, okay? But if you want a report to look brilliant and give it a different makeup and makeover, okay, that is Federico. And remember, people doesn't believe, and people argue with me about this. When your client sees the report, the client is not seeing the backend, is not seeing the fantastic job the data engineering people did. They don't see your data flows. They don't see your DAG. They don't see your modeling. What they see is a great report
True.
that is catchy to the eye. It's my job to make sure the people behind get the recognition, and I always do, because every time I'm presenting to a client, I always say kudos to my data engineer team, kudos to the Snowflake team, kudos to the SQL team, because without them, that wouldn't be possible. But at the end, what the client is looking is that page you have on the screen right now.
Yeah.
And he liked to touch. I say, oh, look, they change and move. Oh, look at that, fantastic. And can we do that? You say, yeah, we can do that. And that is how easy it was for me to do that because I have the work behind. But remember, guys, they aren't going to see that. They are not going to ask me about the DAX or the modeling or the problem with Snowflake or loading the data. And I think that sometimes it's painful for the backend people. But they know me and they understand that when I ask him for something, I will tell in front of everybody, thank you to the data engineering team, the data
That's
warehouse, the SQL guys, because without a job, I will not be here. And that good looking report will not be here.
Yeah. So when you say it's your job to make the reports beautiful so that stakeholders can understand it properly and it is useful to them. So do you remember any instance when you published a report and they didn't like it and then you tweaked something and then they loved
Oh,
it? So, I mean, do you have any thing that you can tell us to the audience that, hey, this was the mistake and I did this thing to replicate it and they loved it so that no one can repeat the same mistake?
yeah. One of the problems we find that they sometimes rely on they tell you, no, you do whatever you want to, Federico. I might have different tastes and likes than you have, Atikan. And what I think for me is nice, for you, it might not be. Okay? So you are in a difficult position when the client tell you, do whatever you want to, and then having a feedback of, I don't like it, where you haven't given me any direction.
Yeah.
Okay? You cannot like it. I understand that. But you didn't give me direction. So I like it. Okay, so there is a battle on that, but it happened very often. I think over the weekend I was working important client, very important client, on a report that they needed for the day after tomorrow. A number of reports, and I was working on the weekend, and there was a filter, a vertical filter on the left side of the report that was giving me a headache.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed just making that up and making putting the right color, the clicking, because if you look at each chain colors, you can see that. So I was making all this on Hoover, on Press, and I got to a point that I said, oh, geez, I like it. I really like it, and I don't touch it.
Yeah.
And I applied to every single page. That was 7 pages. On Monday, I came back, they presented the report, not me, I was busy in another thing, and they didn't like the filter.
Yeah.
One, okay, I will change it. Two, next time I don't put in 7 pages, I put it on one, and when they give me the go-ahead, okay, I will put it on the other 7 pages.
Yeah.
Now I have to change it 7 pages. But I wasn't convinced that they will like it. And that happened. That happened very often. Remember, my job is to present the right visuals. As a second is to make the report look aesthetically pleasing. You can see I don't do Picasso. There is no color. That is black and white and yellow. And you will see my report. They are not black and white. They have different colors, different palette, but they are simple. They are clean. I don't intend, believe me, to go. If you check my portfolio in Novi Pro for the challenges, that is action report, what I call to impress. And you see color, you see dark, you see picture, you go everything there.
But actually, when you represent to the clients, that's totally different, according to them.
Totally different. Totally different.
So actually, one more thing, when we are talking about the clients, the projects that you work on. So tell me one thing, when you're working on the client's project, so sometimes the client's project can be from different domain. So how is it easier for you or tough for transitioning from one domain to other? For example, you are really good in FMCG space, and then tomorrow there is a client. They are in, let's say, manufacturing, or let's say mining, or some real estate.
Yep.
So for example, you don't have experience in those domains, and then you have to work on the development of dashboards. So what is your approach? How do you gain knowledge on that domain, and or it didn't happen with you?
That a lot of people will tell you that you have to know everything about that company, and you can. As you say, today I'm working with intelligent. Tomorrow I am working with a farm that grows chicken, and they want to see a report too. Okay, because they got chicken, they go illnesses, they spending that and that, and it's apart from the tradition. Okay, I work in a project about pig in Spain, pigs and some kind of illness. Okay, and they were using different food, pig food, okay, to see what was better actually to the pig didn't get the illness. Okay, the only thing I know about the pig is that I eat it.
Yeah,
I like it. I like pig meat. Okay, but that when you're basing your understanding of, because the project is the same, you're going to receive data. You have to make sure that data quality and integrity is the best. You create your data model and you start gathering information from the client. Give me information. You go to the internet and do some check. You check with ChatGPT. Can you give me a brief on some analysis regarding this? And there are a lot of ideas coming from to you, plus the client. Okay, and then you can say, okay, the client wants a KPI report that will tell me how many pigs has been treated this month, how many they are like, which food they take, what quantity of food, and at the end of the day, it becomes kind of the same analysis, but we have different data background. Nonetheless, in my company, we have kind of specialties. That we have a team that is only retail, and we have a team that is more about data science. So these people are doing now the pig report and everything, and I'm more on the business intelligence and retail side.
all right.
Okay, so thank God, my company is a big company, so they have the possibility to have different teams with different specialties. Uh, for another people, they might not have that benefit, and I think they should treat the analysis in the same way they treat any analysis. They have to learn. You cannot learn everything about that, but by investigating and asking and making sure you have all the requirement gathered, that you don't have to use any imagination. I cannot see any or foresee big problem other than having to go and ask. Actually, I did work for a project for a finance department
Hmm.
of another company, and I know finance.
Yeah.
Okay, and finance and accounting is a different world, as I say it. Okay, and I remember seeing the numbers in a spreadsheet, um, and I went to the guy and said, "Listen, yeah, that's fantastic. That's brilliant. I need to know. Okay, that's my table, and that's my other table. You're telling me that by multiplying from this column, this from this table, you get that, and then you divide it to get this. Is that correct? Yes. And I got all the
Yeah.
metrics, one by one, until I was happy that every time I did a calculation, the same number appear on the spreadsheet, appear on my report, and the forecasting, everything. But I was quite actually, I didn't bother at all. I was bullying this guy into give me one by one the metrics in a nice way. I was not bullying. I was actually extracting the information. And remember, guys, you have plenty of connection. You got friends that they are
Yeah.
good at finance. And I think if I know one day that you do this very well, you can rest assured I will send you a message in LinkedIn. I think, can you help me with that, please? Because I know
Yeah.
you are good at it. And I use plenty of MVPs and connections that they are really good. Another thing that I are not that good. And they come back or we are replying to me. Federico, try that. They are not going to give you the 100% reply, but they might have encountered a problem
Yeah.
and try this or try this and let me know. Try this and let me know until the solution is found.
That's the best part. Actually, you explained about connecting with the people in the same field. So actually, we have a nice community on Power BI as well. So whenever you feel stuck somewhere, and you can instantly text or like query that to particular person on LinkedIn or in the community itself, and they might come up with particular solution. It cannot be 100%, but at least you will get some direction, and it really helps. Actually, I've also seen experience that. So yeah, I think, yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
You know, Attica and I have a SP20 challenges. It's a community group that I run in LinkedIn for people to participate in challenges. So we have a group of a community ambassador. I call them ambassador. They are friend connection that they help me to deal with the day-to-day of the challenge. And that group, we have an Skype group for us. That is every day full of questions from one another. From, hey, I had this problem with data modeling. I had this problem with that. And the people who are really good at data modeling and that, they come back with an answer.
Yeah.
Federico, or hey guys, anyone about the look of the report? And Federico is, listen, I would change the color palette. Maybe you're using too many colors. Try to change the visualization for this one. So it's a continuous help between each other. One thing that is important is that we are not worried that people doesn't know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, you should not be afraid of asking ever. I prefer asking and be embarrassed for 5 minutes and to get my answer than not get my answer and not be embarrassed. You know what
I
I mean?
think,
You need to be a little bit selfish.
yeah.
Sometimes you need to get that sorted, and I'm gonna sort it no matter what. And then when you go to your connection, and I
Yeah.
try to do so.
Yeah, that's true. Also, that you talked about FP20 challenge. I think that is still going on, and it ends at what, 11th or 12th of June, if I'm not wrong. The
Correct.
current,
The one
yeah.
the one currently end on the 13th of June.
Okay,
So it
13th of
started
June.
about week, yeah, 13, 1
So all
3,
the people
13.
who are listening to this, if you are interested and want to showcase your Power BI skills, then you can try
Mhm.
this challenge and you can submit your dashboard, and for sure you will get the feedback on that.
And there are prizes and certificates. But I think the most important, apart from the prizes, that I never participate in a challenge for that, is practicing, learning, because you find new ways, sharing with the community. Remember, sharing with the community, LinkedIn made me in the data
Yeah.
analysis world, and creating a portfolio. And I want to speak about this creating my portfolio. Your portfolio is for work. So before bringing a report to me with a lot of colors and everything, and then you're going to put your portfolio, remember, you want a professional portfolio, you want a clear, simple report that follow visualization standard, that is not packed with visuals. So there had to be a distinction with this one is for fun. I'm not going to put in my portfolio. This one will go into my portfolio. It's going to be very professional, very clean, everything aligned and properly. Remember, that portfolio is your entry into the marketplace, the workplace.
That's true.